Okay. Hello and welcome to today's webinar hosted by SULF. We're going to talk about present and upcoming migration rules. And here to talk about this is our chief negotiator, Robert Andersson, who's in the forefront in driving these questions for researchers and university teachers here in Sweden. So very nice to have Robert here to talk about it. And there is a lot of interest in today's webinar. So it's over 350 people who have registered to participate. If you want to ask your questions, please use the Q&A. And we might not be able to answer your questions here today, but we'll try to take them in and send some answers after the webinar. And we will also send a presentation to all the participants afterwards. We will also record this webinar, so it will be available for 1 month after today. And if you think that what SULF is doing in these questions are important and relevant, please spread a message to your colleagues. I will hand over the word to my colleague, Robert Andersson. Thank you.
Thank you and welcome again. And as we will see, there are many positive things happening now, finally, when it comes to migration rules for doctoral candidates and researchers. Everything is not perfect, exactly how we would like to see it, but at least it's a success for us that have struggled with this for quite some time now. This is my name and contact details. And SULF is the Swedish Association of University Teachers and Researchers, and we organize these groups, and we have more than 23,000 members, and we have no connections to political parties, and we are one of the unions that organize academics within SACO. So the contents for today, we will go through new immigration rules for doctoral candidates and researchers, and most of it, you have to remember, it's still proposals. We believe they will go through the parliament, but we have to wait and see. And we will compare them with the rules that apply today. We do not have yet all the details because we're also waiting for the government to make some changes into the ordinance, and we don't have the details. We have some indications from the inquiry that came in December 2024. We will go through a little bit about rules for work permit, permanent residency, long-term residency, and I will talk a bit about the unemployment insurance and benefits with membership in SULF. And as we said, you are welcome to ask questions in Q&A. Today is quite short time, only 45 minutes, so maybe we'll not be able to answer most questions here today, but we will collect them and get back to you that have registered for this webinar. So, residence permit, current rules and proposals for changes. And of course, this concerns those of you that do not come from EU, because for EU citizens there are no changes, really. Today, if we look at just some general things, residence permit for studies or doctoral studies, you have to fulfill a financial requirement. You can see the numbers here. We have another type of residence permit for research, and you are supposed to work at least half time with research and at an institution that is approved to have researchers, and that can be universities, but also others. And there is a bit lower financial requirement there, actually. Then we have residence permit for work when you work less than 50% with research. And here there is a minimum salary required, and you can see the numbers there. Recently, it was decided to increase that quite a lot, but there are some exceptions, and this will start from 1st of June already. And then we have something called EU Blue Card, which is a kind of work permit for qualified work and skilled workers. And here you need a salary of at least 52,000 crowns per month. If we look at proposals now, one is that to change the rules for how much you can work when you have a residence permit for studies. And this basically also includes a permit for doctoral studies. And here it said you should not be able to work more than 15 hours per week besides your studies. But there will be exceptions for work or employments related to the studies, so that you can still have an employment as doctoral candidate, for example, full time, as it is today. But one thing that is proposed is that it should be possible for doctoral candidates to get also a residence permit for research. So there will be an option here to have either for studies or doctoral studies then, or for research. And there could be quite some advantages to go for residence permit for research. And if this proposal goes through, this will be possible from June 11th when you extend your permit after that. You need then to discuss with your university to get this kind of hosting agreement that is required for such a permit. One proposal, we can get back to that later, but it's a financial requirement for family members to researchers that we have not had before. That's not in, it's in a different package, so to say, than the major proposals for doctoral candidates and researchers. If we look at qualification time for permanent residency, as it is today, you need 4 years with a residence permit for research work or doctoral studies within 7 years. You can combine time with these permits, and financing is not specific. I mean, you don't need a specific financing during the qualification time. And the proposal is that these rules will remain, but in addition, there will be a new rule that you can get permanent residency already after 3 years with residence permit if it is consecutive time and it's residence permit for doctoral studies, research, or EU Blue Card. So that's something new that will be added if this proposal goes through. Then if we look at the income requirement, as far as we know, this is one example where the details will come later in an ordinance. But if we look at the proposal from the inquiry, they say that it should basically be the same requirement as today. But they also put some emphasis on historical incomes. And today, as a guideline, you need to have an employment or an income for at least a year at the time for the decision. So here we don't expect any major changes. You can just add, because it's a quite common question, that income from an employment abroad can be fine here if it meets all other requirements. What is new or will be new if the proposal from the inquiry goes through is that stipends for doctoral candidates will qualify for the income requirement. So that will be in addition to income from an employment. Yes, so then one very important change is that it's a proposal that you will be able to apply for permanent residency also when you have a time-limited permit, which is really not possible today, with some exceptions. And today it's a recommendation that you do not apply earlier than 14 days before your permit runs out, but at the same time you have to apply before it runs out. The proposal is that if you hold a permit for work, research, doctoral studies, EU Blue Card, or for having your own company, you will be able to apply for permanent residency at any time, and if it's granted, the temporary permit will be revoked. So this is some news, and it's important, of course, in combination with the proposal that you can apply already after 3 years. So you are not, there is not a restriction there, so you have to wait. Anyway, if you, for example, get the residence permit for 4 years when you start doctoral studies. Permit to look for a job after studies or research. Here it's a proposal that the time you can ask for will be longer, so you can apply for up to 18 months. So at least 12, at most 18 months, instead of, as it is today, that you can only get a permit for 12 months. You can see also here the minimum income required during that time. Here the income can come from an employment, your stipend or unemployment benefit, or also if you have savings. And with this permit, you are allowed to work without a work permit, and that will remain according to the proposal. Another important thing is that there is already decided, actually, in another package, that it's possible to apply for a permit for research or doctoral studies from Sweden when you have a permit as a job seeker. And this has been a problem. So, for example, if you have completed a doctoral studies and you want to become a postdoc, you have not been able to switch to a permit for research if you have got this job seeking permit in between. And now this is changed, and this will take effect already June 1st. Then some improvements regarding family members. Here there will be more possibilities to apply from Sweden to change permit. So, for example, a family member to a researcher or student will be able to apply for an own permit for research or doctoral studies from Sweden. And also a researcher or a student can apply for permit as family member to a person with a permit for research or doctoral studies. So as a family member, you can go into your own permit for research or doctoral studies, and as a family member, or you can also go from having such a permit to become a family member to such a person. So as we know that many families, you have two people with that are both academics. So also one thing that has been proposed in this package is that to introduce a possibility to leave Sweden when you are waiting for a new residence permit. This has been possible for people that have had a work permit, but not if you have had a permit for doctoral studies or research. And here it can be, for example, to work for work-related travels, but also according to the proposal from the inquiry for some family reasons. But here we also have to wait and see what will come up in the ordinance later. We can see people are raising their hands, but it's not possible to ask questions orally. So you have to write questions in Q&A, and we will handle them now or later. So possibility to change from the temporary protection directive to other permits from Sweden. This is a proposal that if you are here under this directive, which is now applies to people from Ukraine, you have not been able to change to a permit for research, for example, work or studies or EU blue card from Sweden. You are stuck with this permit under this directive. Here, the proposal is that it will be possible to change permit from Sweden. And this will also include family members. So what happens now is that the proposal is that the changes should take effect June 11th if they pass through the parliament. And as we have said, the government must also after that decide on changes in the ordinance, where we will find more details. And as far as we can figure out, all pending application will follow the new rules from June 11th. There are some special rules for this restriction to work not more than 15 hours besides studies, so that you will be able to work more if you already have such an employment, as long as that permit is valid. So if we turn now to permanent residency and the rules for that, if we compare to long-term residency, and long-term residency is based on an EU directive, and it's similar, you can say, in one way to permanent residency. And one thing that has made this quite popular is that if you achieve long-term residency, you also automatically get permanent residency. And at our webpage, we have made comparison between these two rules, so you can see what is similar and what is not. But in summary, permanent residency, as it is now, you need 4 years within 7 years with residence permit. You can only apply when a permit is about to run out. But here we expect new rules, as we have said. You should have your own income from an employment or your own company, or perhaps a stipend for doctoral studies. And you do not have to be able to support family members to get your own permanent residency. The permanent residency is valid only in Sweden. If we look at long-term residency, you should have had residence permit for 5 years consecutive at the time for application. You must be able to support yourself with an income, but here not necessarily from an employment. It could be a stipend, for example. And you can also be supported by family members. But if your family members do not have their own income, you must, on the other hand, be able to support them to get long-term residency. And with long-term residency, you can also live and work in most other EU member states, except Denmark and Ireland. What is important also here is that if you apply for long-term residency and the residence permit you have is about to run out, you should also apply for some other kind of residence permit. And that is to ensure that you can stay in Sweden and work here. So in that case, it's not enough to apply only for long-term residency. If we look at some proposals that are not positive at all when it comes to long-term residency, it is that status as long-term residency should no longer automatically give permanent residency. Instead, it will give, according to this proposal, a temporary permit for 5 years at a time, which is the minimum time according to the EU directive. So this is a proposal, it's not decided yet. And another thing is that permanent residency based on status as long-term resident should be revoked. Now there is a large debate about this proposal to revoke permanent residency. So at present, there are no such proposals given to the parliament. But it's quite strange that they included this one, because we know that quite a lot of people have got long-term or permanent residency through long-term residency, also after doctoral studies, research, or work. So this is something we have to follow. And we have, of course, said that it's not a good idea to do these changes. Then, when it comes to citizenship, there are also some proposals around, and this will take effect quite soon. It's June 6th already. And one thing is to increase the qualification time for citizenship from 5 years to 8 years. This is the main rule. Then there are some exceptions from having 5 years already today, and some of them will remain. But normally 8 years will be required. This will affect also pending applications according to the proposal, which was not the idea from the start. And you must still have permanent residency to apply for citizenship, unless you have right of residence, and right of residence is for EU citizens and their relatives. Then another thing with citizenship is that it will be introduced a test for language and about the society. And you can see some details here about the language test. It should be for everyone between 16 and 67 years old. When it comes to reading and hearing, it's level B1, and oral and writing A2. The changes should take effect latest 1st of October next year, and that is because the test that they are supposed to introduce will not be ready very soon. And when it comes to knowledge about Swedish society, it corresponds to level B1, and so it's a basic level. Takes effect June 6th, as we said, and there are some exceptions from the language test if you have learned Swedish, or Danish, or Norwegian some other way. Now the question is, what happens before the changes take effect, when the tests are available? Then you can show the knowledge by some alternative routes, and we expect this to be clearly explained by Migration Board, because it's quite complicated how you can fulfill this requirement. And it's also proposed that there should be an income requirement for citizenship. We don't have any such requirement, apart from that you need it to get permanent residency. And here it's said that you should earn corresponding to 20,850 crowns per month for this year's level. And as it is for permanent residency, it should only be salary, income from own company, and some social benefits that are received when you have an employment that will count. And the income should not be too temporary, and they talk about the same rules as for permanent residency, so 1 year ahead as a main rule or a guideline. And in addition, you should not have received what's called försörjningsstöd more than 6 months during the last 3 years. And försörjningsstöd is compensation you get from the city where you live if you have no other incomes or savings. But then there will also be some exceptions from the income requirement, and one quite interesting one is that if you have full-time studies, including doctoral studies, you do not have to fulfill the income requirement, provided that you have acceptable study results and you have not received försörjningsstöd. And of course, if you have an employment as doctoral candidate, you have an income high enough, but it could be that you are still under doctoral studies without such an income, and then this exception can be helpful. Other exceptions is if you receive pension, or for certain reasons where it's not reasonable to to think that you can have your own income. Then if we look at some other problematic proposals that we can find in other inquiries, and first, financial requirement for family members to researchers. I mentioned this before. Today, there is no such requirement, but the proposal is problematic in that way that as it is written, it's the family member that should be able to support themselves, either through an income or savings. And this is different from all other groups where it's enough if the main applicant can provide for the family. And it's very strange that they put it this way for researchers specifically. And also that permanent residency should be revoked already after, if you stay more than 1 year abroad. Today, it's possible to stay abroad for up to 2 years if you inform Migration Board in advance. And this will be a problem, of course, if you go abroad for international postdoc, for example. And there are also qualification time for some social benefits if you come to Sweden from next year. Then you should have been living here for 5 years or within EU for 5 years, or have an income over these limits that you can see here. But then you still have to wait either 6 months or 1 year before you can receive these benefits. And we think this is problematic because they have not really considered how this will affect how attractive Sweden is for qualified people that the government say that they want to attract. And actually in some of these proposals, they say that it might affect the attraction to come to Sweden and that they want to follow this. So it would be better not to introduce it at all. So that was the part about migration. I want to say a few words about SULF and also about unemployment benefits. As a member in SULF, you can get advice and support on matters related to your employment or your activity at university. If you do not have an employment, that's also fine to become a member if you have a stipend, for example. A membership also includes income insurance policy and a health insurance, and you can access quite a lot of material at our webpage. And you can also get insurances and other benefits with discount. And you can read all about this at our webpage. Insurances included in the membership. First, we have the income insurance. I want to stress that the income insurance included in the membership will only work if you're also a member in the unemployment insurance fund. And we recommend that you join Akademikernas A-kassa and at least a year, but sometimes that is not enough, depending on how much you have had income during the last year. So the recommendation is to start a membership as soon as possible. Membership health insurance is included in the membership in SULF, and that can be activated either if you are on sickness leave for at least 60 days or more than 60 days, but it also covers preventive health care and if you care for close relatives or seriously ill child. And on top of that, you can add insurances for more protection. And you do that with our partner, Folksam, which is the insurance company here. And as a new member, you get some of these insurances for free for 3 months as well. The income insurance, as we have said, it's included in the membership fee. You need 12 months of membership in SULF and the Unemployment Insurance Fund. But again, 1 year might not be enough, so join early is a recommendation. The income insurance works only if you have been granted 300 compensation days from A-kassan at the 80% level. And for that, you need to be a member in the unemployment insurance fund for at least a year, or sometimes more. I stress that again. And you should have had an income during at least 11 of the last 12 months and at least 11,000 per month before tax. And the benefit with the income insurance is that you can receive up to 80% of your previous income. And the point here is that the unemployment insurance has a ceiling, so no matter what you earn, you will never get more than 80% of 34,000 crowns before tax from that. But the income insurance can add on top of that up to 80% of the whatever previous income you have had, up to 80,000 crowns per month. The first 2 days are not compensated, and that's because you don't get unemployment benefits. The income insurance covers 175 working days out of these 300. So, but if you want to add 125 days more, you can buy an additional insurance, and you pay a fee for that depending on your income. You can also get some coaching to find a new job. Normally, you also can get quite a lot of that service from Trygghetsstiftelsen, depending on how long time you have been employed. But here you can also get some support on that. And then you have to apply for the benefit from the income insurance after registered, and when you have been registered as unemployed, and after you have got the decision from the unemployment insurance fund. Then the optional insurances. Unemployment insurance is optional in Sweden, but highly recommended. But we also provide other insurances. So, for example, for your housing, your car, and other stuff, that's through the insurance company Trygg-Hansa. And then for you as an individual and family members, there are insurances for accidents, child insurance, health insurance, life insurance. And as I said before, some of them are included for free for new members. And these are the membership fees this year. So 295 crowns per month, including income insurance then and the health insurance. But for doctor candidates with employment, the fee is only 100 crowns per month. And it also includes these insurances. And if you have a stipend, there is also a reduced fee. We also offer double memberships, so you can join SULF and most other unions that organize academics. And here you can see one example from SULF and the Union for Scientists, Naturvetarna. And for that, you pay basically one fee for 2 memberships. And again, the membership in the unemployment insurance fund is separate, so you have to apply for that specifically. And we recommend then that you join Akademikernas A-kassa. And for 2 reasons. One is that the fee is low compared to most other funds, but also that they know quite a lot about your situation at the university. And the fee here is at present 140 crowns per month, but here you get 25% back as tax reduction the year after you have paid the fee. And again, there are many advantages with the membership in SULF, and you're most welcome to join, and you can use this QR code, or you can visit our web page. So that was the last slide, and now we have 10 minutes if there are any general questions that could be answered.
There are so many questions. So I started trying to answer some questions, but it is an insane amount of questions. I think most of you are here has one question or several. I just want to start by saying that some questions are very individual, like it's very connected to your own individual case.
Yeah.
We always recommend you to contact Migrationsverket directly with your individual cases. We are a union, we focus on labor questions, but this is a very important question for our member group. So we're trying to, like Robert has been talking about here, affect the migration law so it's actually reasonable for researchers and university teachers and doctoral.
Yes.
But we have time for a few questions,
Yeah.
right? Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So just so you know, we will try to answer the general questions in email afterwards to you. Okay, we'll start with this question then. You mentioned mostly proposals. Which one of them are going to be approved? How likely is it that these proposals will be active?
When it comes to the sort of package specifically aimed towards better rules for doctoral candidates and researchers, I would say it's very likely that it goes through. Otherwise, it would not have been proposed for the Parliament at all. Then there are other more problematic proposals where we don't really know because there's quite a lot of debate. But the proposals regarding citizenship will probably happen, unfortunately. But there are others that might not happen, for example, revoking permanent residency. I should stress there that there are no proposals to revoke permanent residency based on residence permit for doctoral candidates, researchers, or people with a work permit. So the only ones within our group, so to say, that might be affected are those that got permanent residency through long-term residency. But you will still get 5-year residence permit in that case. So.
And then a more general question. Can I share this presentation with my fellow PhD students?
Yes, it's fine. Once we have sent it, so yeah.
Yes. Let's see. It seems, let's see. It seems there's no exception for researchers, PhD students to get residency before 8 years. Am I right?
The citizenship or if it's 8 years.
Yeah, residency.
Yeah, okay.
I guess
for permanent residency, it will probably enough with 3 years consecutive if this goes through now. But for citizenship, it's 8 years also for our group, so to say. And then the exceptions are more if you have no citizenship at all, if you're Nordic citizen and some others. But you can count on 8 years as a main rule.
Would you please explain a bit more about family member financial requirement? Is it also when to apply for the extension? Which type of income they should have?
Yes, probably there is every time you extend the permit as a family member, you will have to fulfill this requirement. And
that's the proposal.
That's the proposal, yeah. And it would not perhaps been that problematic if it would have been enough if the main applicant, the researcher, would have to provide for the family because the salary would have been enough, as it is for doctoral candidates with salaries. But here, the proposal is that it should be the family member themselves that provide for themselves, so to say, no matter what the researcher earns. It's very hard to understand why they put it that way. It was very much a surprise. Now, we have said in our response that it might be in conflict with the EU directive to introduce such a requirement. So we hope that that will at least affect the final proposal.
And I thought we could just take this one quickly. I am a SULF member, but am I registered to a-kassa?
You have to go to Akademikernas a-kassa and check there. We cannot see if you are a member or not. So if you're not a member in that or any other unemployment insurance fund, it's a good idea to join as soon as possible, as you need at least 1 year membership to get the full effect on the benefit.
Yeah, so please contact them as soon as possible.
Yeah.
Okay, let's see. When will the decision be made about these changes?
I don't know exactly the schedule for that. We have to check that up. And again, we don't have all the answers because we have to wait for the ordinance after that. So, but it should be announced at the webpage of the government or the parliament when they will handle this proposal.
Yes. I'm confused whether my adult family member needs to reach the income threshold for permanent residency when I apply. Can you clarify this?
Yes, when it comes to permanent residency, every applicant have to have their own income to get permanent residency. So also as a family member, you need your own income. But if you go through long-term residency, then you can depend on income from other family members. But then you should have 5 years permit consecutive.
And here's one about income insurance. What do you mean by 175 working days? Does it mean the income insurance will be calculated for 5 days a week and not 7 days?
Yes, basically with the new rules we have for unemployment insurance that took effect in October, you get payments monthly, and you deduct 22 days per month as so no matter how long the month is, so to say. So that's why 300 days with unemployment compensation lasts about 14 months in total if you are full-time unemployed. And 175 then lasts more than 175 calendar days. And if you receive temporary jobs, you can, of course, save days for later as well. So it depends if you're full-time unemployed or not. So.
Okay. I think this will be the last question, so we can wrap things up. Is SULF doing something to counter the problematic proposals?
Yes, we do quite a lot. We have responded, of course, to the proposals as we can do, as many other organizations. But we have also written debate articles about it. We have sent written statements to the government. We have been on national radio and talked about it with the Minister of Education or Minister of Higher Education. So we are doing quite a lot, but it's a part of other large packages. But again, they have not really looked specifically how it will affect highly skilled people that they want to attract. The focus has been on restricting number of asylum seekers.
Yes. And from my understanding, you're in direct contact with some politicians
yes,
and are very clear about the consequences that these
yes,
proposals.
and actually directly after this, we will go to meet one of the members of the government and talk about how these rules and other things affect the to say the likelihood that the employments within the governmental sector will attract highly skilled people, because there is a problem there today in general, but the migration rule is one part of the problem.
Okay, it's 1:00. Thank you so much for participating, and thank you, Robert. I mean, sometimes a lot of information also brings up more questions. It's over 100 questions in the chat. We will see how much we can answer, but we will try to answer an email afterwards.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye.